I'll call the meeting to order, the Green Space Advisory Commission meeting to order, and Ginger, would you take a roll call?
Yes, so Carrie Coyne.
Here,
Eric here, Emily Morton. Jeannie. Beckler. Liz.
Here.
Gotcha. Okay, Laura Jordan.
here,
Joel Olkey.
Here.
Jerry. Not yet. Corin.
I'm here.
And then Pam, are you here today for Emily?
Yes.
And then Yvonne.
here. Right. Alright. Did anybody have any questions about the minutes from the last meeting? Or can we make a motion to approve them? Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I will second that motion.
Alright,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Visitor comments. We don't have any visitors tonight. Pam is sitting in for Emily, so we'll hear her later. The next item of business is old business, and the Green Arch City update is the first item on that list. I met with Renee Tyler, to get, since Vera Cavato has left and their city's in the process of hiring another public works director. I wanted to just meet with Renee and find out what the plans were, what she knew about the plans for potential planting by the city in the future. And she, I just also gave her some background on Green Arch City and what we're doing with the program and why we think it's important and some of the other things that we're doing as well. So she was very receptive to all of that and supportive, at least, in conversation about her plans. She said she will be at the workshop on the 17th, August 17th. So that's nice. She'll get to hear a little bit more from everyone and meet our presenters, who I think are really good resources for the city. I worked with Yvonne to get supplies that we need, or she has to do all the purchasing for us, so that's made things easier for us and more difficult for her. Thank you, Yvonne.
That's okay.
So we should be good there. Joe, have you talked to Mark Gruber or Billy Haig?
Yeah, I saw them weeks back. They're both
On board.
on board as of now. So.
Yeah, good. And Yvonne, you're working on the tree for, you got it, okay, so we should be, I don't think I'm gonna make some posters for the presentation like we had last year, and we'll have a check-in process. I haven't honestly thought a lot about that. I figured we just duplicate last time, so that's the plan. Okay. And then buckets you've got for planting day. So planting day is October 5th, 9 a.m. And I forgot to bring a list of our stewards, so I'll probably do that after, or maybe send it out after the workshop anyway, because I want to confirm with people too that they're taking. And then I think the only other thing we need to do, Yvonne, is get more of those magnets printed, and I said I would do some research on where to do that, but I haven't yet. Anybody have any questions about Green Arch City? Hopefully everybody still has it on their calendars. Can participate, especially on planting day. Okay, then,
A quick question.
yes,
Do you want me there at 8:30 on the 17th?
yes, that would be great. Thank you. Same, I guess, for you, Joe. Or anybody else who's gonna be there that day that wants to meet and greet with the residents, that would be nice to come a little earlier.
What time did you say?
8:30.
Okay.
It starts at 9.
Glad to be there. But that is just a couple days before the semester starts, so it's possible.
Yeah, and you got a lot going on. Okay. Well, I think we've got a system down from last year, so any help would just be extra great, not necessary.
I'll do what I can.
The next item of old business is just a reminder about the Eco Ed series, September 3rd at 7 p.m. at the library. There's the report from the city and the Sustainability Commission about the greenhouse gas inventory. And then October 1st at 5:30 in Larson Park, we're doing the watershed wander. Any ideas for next year, send them to me and I'll forward them on to Karen Anderson from the Sustainability Commission. And we did talk about making sure that we don't have the series on a Tuesday night, first Tuesday nights, because we have some interested folks who can't make it because of conflict. So we took that note and we're gonna try and
Great.
arrange it a little differently next.
And one
season.
other thing, so they're putting together the fall brochure for the rec center. And the back is a spot that Green Space can put information. So is there any information, probably need to get it to Katie pretty quickly, but it could be something like a link to wherever the next Eco Ed series is.
So just a little, like an ad almost for the next one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you have anything like that, or
I'm sure
a
I
way,
can-
so it'll go all the way through the end of the year.
We could do the fall, no as well, not no, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if there's any, it's probably maybe a page or a half page word that you can put
Who did I talk to about that?
Katie Kirby.
I think, the tree of distinction, could we put that in there?
Oh, yeah, because
That might be a priority.
Yeah, just hopefully get some
Yeah,
nominees.
so anything you wanna put in.
We're so excited about this.
Okay, what's the best way?
I would just email Katie.
Okay, and I'll just have you copy me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think need to coordinate. I really like the idea of the tree of distinction nomination, but I just want to make sure I have the right webpage to put in there to send to. That's to nominate.
That's great.
So I also probably will copy you on that.
Yeah. That'll be great, because I mean, I might be jumping ahead, but I don't remember when we usually do the cutoff for the nominees. I know is it December or November?
We're doing
I think we're was it?
December. I think the idea was to capture photos submitted by residents with the fall color. But then if you
Yeah, so
kick it in January, you're just gonna take a picture of a empty tree.
Yeah. When does that? September 1 or something to think about, do you know?
Probably. Yeah, I would say that they're sort of wrapping it up. She brought it up Saturday, Thursday. I said you could give me through Monday night to ask.
Okay,
And then maybe if you could just shoot something in the next couple days, even if it's just a link to where we could get more information.
I can't just send her a link. Okay. I will email her tomorrow, we'll get something together.
Sounds good.
Okay. Then, that's all for old business unless I missed anything. I don't think so. Actually, part of the old business I think to have on here, and maybe he'll pop in later, but I was wanting to get an update from Jerry Pinkner about the work session that happened.
Oh, the pollinator.
The pollinator garden.
Yeah, and
At Abercrombie,
Yeah.
I was there.
Oh, well, how
Yeah, it was Jeannie, Jerry and I, it went well, like, we got most of the way around, there were just like 2 small sections that we didn't get to because it was starting to get really hot. But I mean, it looks good, and then I think he said he was gonna come back at another point and like do like the inside and stuff, so.
What were you mostly removing, like does that hold dry?
It was like a little bit of everything, I mean, it was,
Probably some Bermuda grass and basil.
sure. And I was gonna continue on, but I was looking a little too hot, that I needed to go, so he's like, you need to just go.
Alright, well, thank you for that hands-on work, and to Jeannie and Jerry as well. Alright, then I guess on to new business. We've got 2 subcommittees going. A grant subcommittee that Ginger was also part of the meeting, and then I'm not exactly sure what we're calling it, but Native Plant Education Subcommittee. Might throw some invasives in there too, I'm not sure, but,
I'll work on that.
yeah, I was gonna have, Jeannie give an update, but maybe you could just, do you think you could give an update on
Yeah.
just how that meeting went and
Yeah.
what your next steps are?
They were gonna have me give the updates, so I
Okay.
did the outlines or the
Okay,
notes, so, so yeah, so we decided that we needed like a long-term goal, but I will get to that after I just kind of tell you know, we decided that we need the same person to write the grants, like whoever writes the grant should work a job, so it becomes like self-sustaining. If that makes sense. Maybe, well, I mean, I sent you all the notes, but like potentially partner with sustainability. And once the grant, whatever grant we get, I guess there's like meticulous tracking of volunteer hours and the data that needs to be like very like the records need to be like tight, because I guess you have to submit those pretty regularly, or at least have all the data available to submit. And once the volunteers show interest, like for like say we do like a volunteering weeding of the flower, like we would need to like train them on like what to remove and what not to remove, and so otherwise, I don't know, they wouldn't know what to do. Emily is looking into Teach for America. I was thinking that would maybe be like something that we could partner with the Webster Grove School District, if that was like, if that's the route that we go.
So that's a grant opportunity.
Yes, and then also there's AmeriCorps, and I did not do the initial research on this, but I guess the host city provides the housing, and that might align more with our goals. But then I was doing a deeper dive and I couldn't find any of that information. Actually, I couldn't find, like when I was looking, there was nothing for the fiscal year 2025 that would have been in our parameters. Like there was something in like a senior part of, something that like for like senior citizens, it like supports like many different things in their lives.
And that's all through AmeriCorps?
Yes, well, and one of the things was like environmental, I think I saved it up here. It was something, I don't know if it was like working. But it, I exited out of it. But it had something to do with seniors doing like environmental stuff, but I don't know how we can just get like, if we had a volunteer coordinator, how it would just be like, hey, seniors only, like can volunteer to come.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look harder. I didn't have a lot of time admittedly, but I did not see much. Emily is going to look, she's gonna do a deeper dive into the Missouri Department of Natural Resources and Missouri Department of Conservation. Jeannie is looking into the Foundation Center, which is now Candid.
And
Yes. She put in a foundation, research request, like a directory online research request. And I guess now there's, is it on the eighth? I think, do you remember, Rima said?
she got some training.
But she and
scheduled.
Emily, I think are going, I can't go, like my kiddo's going up to college on Saturday, so I've gotta focus, but. They're gonna get. Information and. They're gonna get shown how to do everything, how to search for this stuff, so she has a subscription
that's-
now.
That's through the county library, is that right?
I think so, but I think it's down at like St. Louis Public.
Oh, okay.
I think. Anyway, she's also going to, Fred told her to look into other green space councils and foundation and philanthropic organizations and see what they do. I was going to reach out to Emily Hickson Shepherd to see if the city had a grant writer, but she said no, so that I did not do that. But I think our biggest long-term goal would be to also partner with another group or municipality who could use our help with the beautification assistance. It's also making their green spaces better, so if there's like a neighboring town like Maplewood or I think Kirk is too big, but probably Maplewood or Shrewsbury that would wanna like partner with us, maybe there are better grant opportunities.
For
If we-
partnerships.
Yes, so that's what I have.
Okay. I'd be interested to know more about that AmeriCorps, if you do have more time to look into it.
Like,
Yeah, I
the only
think-
thing that might have maybe even fit our members was the senior
Interesting.
funding.
Okay, I wonder what I was looking at.
Ginger, I don't know if it fits what you guys are looking at, but I know that Stream Team has micro grants. They're usually like $300 to $500, but we had something that was in one of our parks that was close, and maybe you're shooting for bigger stuff, but just throwing that out there.
But
And then-
go ahead.
And then there's another one through the National Association of Realtors, and I'll just send you a link on that one. Obviously, I would have to apply for it, but it's something about green spaces. I was just kind of doing a little digging when I saw Carrie's initial email.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I really would like to focus, and I'm excited to hear what Emily and Jeannie come out from that Candy search they're gonna be doing. I really want us, this subcommittee to focus on the person who can become that coordinator. Because we have so many great volunteers.
We do.
Yeah. And it's just getting somebody educated, like you guys pointed out, that knows like what needs to be done in the site physically, but also all the administrative things that need to happen, yeah. Making sure that people are signing the waivers and, have the right tools they need and safety precautions things. Then maybe that could be a self-perpetuating thing like you guys were talking about. I mean, that would be.
That's what Sean's pretty much is from what she said in her emails.
Can you talk a little bit more about Sean's position? Do you know the details of that? Cause I know originally
Well,
her
she-
position was funded through a grant related
Right,
to
it was a-
sustainability.
Yeah, and I think it was just $20,000 for 6 months, so that is basically put her at part-time
Yeah.
for 6 months, but now she's going to be part of another grant. Could be the Safe Streets grant.
Yes, that's what it was.
And so that is fulfilling her, so she's gonna be doing that role, working with Renee on that, implementing that one.
Okay,
Is
is that another like part-time?
So yeah, it's another part-time, but yeah, it's gonna have it has a longer shelf life.
Oh, okay,
So between the two, it is self-sustaining for a while. I mean, she's a valuable employee, so.
okay. And do you know if anybody did reach out to the volunteer coordinator, Kirkwood?
I think Emily sent emails, but I feel like they got kicked back.
Okay,
I don't think
Have
she,
you met that
I don't think she
person
got
out there?
kicked back.
maybe I can try and reach out to her.
Do I remember right that there's a thing called the Mid-County Sustainability Consortium?
Yeah.
I don't know what they do exactly, but would they be a suitable partner for the grant you're looking at? They cover what, us, Maplewood, Kirkwood, somebody else?
Not exactly sure. I haven't, but I knew about that through Jamie Hasselmeyer, because she was pretty involved in that. I
Yeah.
feel like when I talked to Renee, she was aware of that group and,
I can reach out to Jamie and ask her. That's a good idea.
I don't know what they do, maybe.
it's worth a discussion. Or some little research. Okay. Well, I'll see if I can reach out to that, I'll reach out to that Kirkwood person and if I can get a response from them. That, you know, aware with, or, with her. Okay, thanks for the update. You guys have another meeting set or?
I think we were waiting until I got back from my trip and Jean got back from her trip. We did not set another meeting.
Okay.
Like we were gonna wait till after this meeting, so.
Okay, all right,
But we know we've gotta work stat though, cause deadlines loom all the time.
that's. All right, then we'll move on to the next, item of new business, which is the native plant education subcommittee. You need to come up with a good act for that one.
Work on that.
Yeah.
New goal.
Well, Liz and I and Corin met, last week, this week, it's recently, just to try and kick things off before this meeting, so, I forgot who, were you gonna give an update, Liz?
Sure.
Okay,
Okay. Well, we figured out that we have a lot of ideas for this. Probably too many to accomplish this first year. So our first goal is to set our goals for this year. But lots of things came up, like one thing I think was a thread throughout our discussions was to try to come up with the best way to get some education out there in a digestible, small amount. We've talked about potentially even using budget to disperse information. Do we start our own, Facebook group or Instagram handle and have someone manage it? Put small videos on there about, invasives removal, but also just general backyard education about native plants, things like that. Maybe some fun stuff that would make people want to look at it. Because we know a lot of times people don't have time for a whole eco ed talk or to open up something that would take a lot of attention. Everybody wants these little quick bits of information. So that was one idea, was maybe to actually put that on someone else's plate and plan and use a budget on having someone manage that. We talked about coming up with some ideas to present to council, maybe evaluating ordinances and making sure that everything looks the way we want it to, or that there isn't anything we could add to that there. So it's kind of on our to-do list. We talked about potentially having flyers for new homeowners because they're going to come up to City Hall and register for occupancy and they take something with them. Is there something we could give there? Or even just have in the little collection of takeaways that they already have a pamphlet thing for. We talked about a need for volunteer coordinating, but it sounds like that's coming up in multiple places. Do we want to have some sort of ad in the future that's regular in the Kirkwood Webster Times? A big topic was, how do we reach people and what are the different ways and are we utilizing those? And we talked about looking at our tree inventory and identifying locations where there are, sorry, we've been sick around here, where we know there's invasives and on city property and potentially identifying more. We know of a few for sure, and working with the city on potentially replacing those or working towards getting those out of our inventory of city plants and trees. Is there anything that I missed, guys?
Pretty good summary.
Yeah, I feel like you really covered it, and
Yep.
just for clarification, so I would like to reiterate that sort of the highest priority on our list, besides just putting our thoughts down and getting some goals in order for short-term and long-term, is trying to use the budget we got approved for the educational video. And maybe, I'd always been thinking it should be one big video. But I think after discussion, there's other ways to look at it. So when Liz mentions budget, we're talking about the budget we have approved for this year and we wanna use it.
Yeah, so as we talked about that, we brought up like potentially using students from both Carrie and Corin's, graduate students who might be good in that role and wouldn't take it on with our small budget and, either manage that Instagram handle and Facebook, or do we want them to make some kind of larger video on one topic or maybe two? So nothing's decided, but just that's kind of where we are with ideas.
Yeah, and I'm going to start a Google Doc for us to share our
Ideas.
and I think that was the number one thing to do. I think we were gonna set a schedule with that. So that's as far as we got.
And we would have a goat in our emblem.
Oh, yeah,
That's what the question was about.
we did have a
Are
little
we doing
fun
goats again
with that.
At any time, is that happening again?
It should, we should hear about the grant any day.
Nice,
And
What grant was that?
that's good news.
DNR, 319.
Is that part of the grant? That was definitely one of your questions, or our
Yeah,
questions.
we were gonna ask for a general grant update, how things are
Oh,
going.
Not general grant, general.
Yes, in general.
So the DNR grant was what? Right. Is my.
How is general grant doing?
Very bad.
Nice.
Because when I talked to you about going forward for the cost share grant from MDC for potentially removing the invasive trees in front of straws, you said we might,
Brakes on
right,
that.
put the brakes on that, we might need to be
And we
pooling
are
our
going-
grant things.
Yes, so we need to have a match for this 319 grant. We thought GRG was going to be part of that match, but they're not. And so it'll be MDC, which they're happy to do.
Oh, good.
And they'll take it up to, I think, $49,000 a year in case the match, which will give us.
So that's part of their community cost share
Yeah,
program.
yeah, so we just have to sort of delay. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I got from Scott last time we talked about it, put the brakes on that for now, doesn't mean it won't be done in the future. Plus they're still kind of getting up and running again, Public Works, they don't really have, they were gonna mix all the structural soils in-house and they just don't even have people right now, so.
Well, I figured that grant would have to
Yeah.
change completely.
Yeah, so we'll probably be using MDC as the match.
Okay.
To go along with the 319, that
Okay.
would sort of increase the value.
So there's like 3 pools of MDC money, right? There's the tree. There's,
I think they do, that's
Remember
what
what
they
they
are.
We got tree, like community cost share, like strictly for forestry, then they have the community conservation cost shares that are like repairing corridor invasive removals.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what Josh Ward.
yeah,
So he
yes.
wanted to make sure that Mark Kruger was sort of in the loop, because he knew that he was sort of working with us on the forestry.
Okay.
So I think everyone's in the know.
Okay.
And sort of put the brakes on straps for now and use that money for the DNR grant. And so to answer your question, that goes hopefully this fall. we'll be-
So that was part of the
319.
the goats are part of that. Okay.
What's the location for the for the goats?
I think we'll start with the goats at Shady Creek. I think that's where we'll start.
Yeah.
We're also gonna have them
This smile. you said.
over at, before the Marshall Trailhead, that area, they just came in with the
Mhm.
little section of trail. They're gonna be on that hillside by the creek. But we'll just see how far we get. They're just gonna go in and get rid of some of the bulk, so when we go in there with the equipment, we're not hauling out any more than we have to, so. We're still waiting to hear. They were thinking at the beginning of August, we would know. But I haven't.
I mean, there's a lot of projects as part of that grant, right? Like. It's layers of things.
Yeah, it's 3 years long,
Yeah.
so.
Yvonne, did I miss, what did you say the timing on that would be? Or did you?
We're hoping the goats will be in this fall.
Okay.
We're still waiting to get approval for the grant, but the grant starts this fall.
Okay.
So that's
We-
one first thing.
Do you remember how people like brought their families and everything and they wanted to, like,
And
could
the
we,
picture taken, the petting zoo.
yeah, basically. That might be a good place to have something educational. It could be just something green space related, or it could be something related to our subcommittee. But, you know, just having like a little thing with flyers you can take, because people were coming out like, oh, what's this? And it could just be like, yeah, we're removing invasives in Webster, and here's what you can do in your own backyard or something like that.
Sure.
Well, I mean, that could even be part of,
That could be a
Our-
feature series.
yes,
Could we have someone talk at a certain time? That might be fun.
Might be able to get goats on the go to come and talk.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're
It
gonna
it
wanna-
grabbed people's interest. It's like we have to figure out how to make people want to come and listen.
Yeah,
Do we wanna schedule another quick subcommittee meeting as soon as we know when the goats will be, and we can work something out for that? Like
we
some
should,
information stuff?
we should think through what we could do and what we have the bandwidth to do.
Okay, we'll get together and figure out our
And
next.
then I think we have, again, some budget related. If we wanted to do some sort of signage or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if we could do some sort of little,
yeah, and
little sign
they
flyer.
do bring, I think Goats on the Go, they do bring some signs.
So maybe we
That
could,
kind of go with it, but
We're gonna have something like a QR code that links
yes.
to information or.
Yeah,
Our
that's sort of what
organization.
we're doing in the grant, and for more questions, you know, that they can call. Be here.
or I might get involved, but.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll send out a notification once I hear, yes, we've got the grant. Yeah,
Thank you.
You've talked, this is sort of an aside, but you've talked in the past about potential. Or just a question of, you know, could the Green Space Commission have a webpage to post stuff, and we had talked about that a little bit as a group and said, well, sometimes the city's webpage is a little difficult to navigate. And that's when we were talking about potentially having this,
Your page.
or having some videos that we're posting on YouTube, and then we can share those with everybody to get it out, share it with the city to get it out, but then to that even more into something like an Instagram page or a Facebook page, so
I mean, that would be something you probably would have to write a work order for Tiara to, you know, this is sort of what you're proposing to do, because she's our new PR person, or public affairs person, and then I think she has some ability to, she can create videos, but I think she definitely could do artwork and, you know, that kind of thing for advertising, so, you can email her, I don't know her last name.
Thomas.
Thomas, okay. So maybe email her and introduce yourself and, tell her sort of what you're planning to do. She might have some leads too on how to create videos for I sort of envision Green Space has a link and you can click on this link and it can take you to different how to do videos as we do different honeysuckle removals, or we get into taping some of the speaker series and somebody could watch that later and, you know, could be a whole
Yeah.
library.
For that, I said that, I'm making, I write a little bit about like maintenance of that page, but I guess that's why it's a requested tier, like if we do this, is the city gonna, can we send the video that we get paid, or we make, or
Yeah,
whatever?
make sure it's sanctioned by the city.
Yeah,
And then also I was thinking that, moving forward with Green Our Cities, instead of having the Saturday event, which is fine and well, but if you don't wanna do that anymore, you could have, MSD has a grant, and the way you can get the grant, you have to view these certain videos. And then once you've viewed those, they know that you've sort of done your homework and then you fill out the grant. So we can sort of have that same process that it's almost like a little grant you're getting for this tree and you have to view this video so you know how to take care of it. And you sign a little agreement, I'm gonna take care of this tree for the next
Yeah.
2 years or whatever.
well, and I guess that's just all dependent on what happens in Public Works, because the last thing we heard from Public Works is we weren't gonna be doing Green Our City.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Pam, they've talked about that at all.
No.
This is the first I'm hearing
Oh.
that they're not gonna do Green Our Cities anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
That's what they told us.
that's what Vera told us,
Okay,
that they were gonna be doing in-house,
what do you mean?
that they were actually gonna pick up the tree planting ball and plant trees.
On their own,
Yes,
in
public rights of way,
near people's houses?
yes. And that's why I followed up and said, hey, can I learn more about this? Like what's the transition from Green Our City to
Mhm.
whatever it is?
Mhm.
And that's when I met with Renee.
Yeah,
But she didn't know anything yet, right? She
okay,
practically
yeah,
didn't know.
yeah.
She said the city should be planting trees. Like
Yes,
she was very positive about that,
right. Okay,
but there was no, she didn't have a plan yet.
Yeah.
She understand
She
the-
might not have, the ball might not have been handed off to her from Vera as far as.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a feeling she's got a lot of catching up to do.
mm-hmm.
So are you saying that,
So they're gonna, it's essentially gonna happen, it's just not gonna be a volunteer program where residents sign up.
did they say that we couldn't do it, that we can't do Green Our City anymore because they were going to do it? Or were they just saying, oh, we're gonna do that in addition to?
No, they didn't say that. Right? Am I misquoting?
So we're talking about like after
I
this
mean,
fall, right?
Yes, after this fall. They were gonna wait until after this fall to start what they were doing because they didn't wanna confuse the two.
But when you ask them what they're
initiatives.
doing, they're like, working on it, it's like. okay,
Well, I think we
well,
should keep
so-
planning on continuing this program until, because we don't wanna skip a year. And then if they tell us we can't do it,
So I can report this out tomorrow in our council meeting, as an update, just saying,
I sort of feel like
or do you
it
feel
was
like,
Vera, kind of a Vera initiative, and Andre has a bunch of trees at Forester. And
Yeah.
Gave them and they're in
Yeah.
the holding area, but I'm not sure that since she left that there's any momentum in the department to start doing that again, because I'm sure Renee's is trying to.
Yeah, I don't.
so I'll just
oversee-
pose it as a question.
Yes.
That you understand we have trees, we've acquired trees, but you don't know the method in which they're gonna get them planted.
Or,
The trees they acquired
Or is
are
that,
going to be planted
The existing
this
one.
fall.
well, they have additional trees,
They have additional small
but
trees.
besides the tree for Green Our City.
Right, they were given a bunch of 7-gallon trees.
Yeah,
for,
but to me, it's just like the question is more like next year.
yeah,
What is the city's plan for planting trees? Which initially, Green Our City was just developed that we could be getting trees in the ground, there were no trees. in
Yes,
Public rights of way
yes.
being planted, right? So the fact that we have inspired, or
Yes.
maybe inspired the past director of Public Works to plant trees, wonderful. But, so we just wanna keep the momentum going, and
Okay,
does that make sense?
yes, you just wanna understand the future of tree planting in the public rights of way.
Yeah.
Okay,
But for us as volunteers and for the city.
yes. Okay. And the other question would be, can you continue the program in some other form? Or can you continue the program somehow?
Can they be, well, I thought and was going to propose to Vera that, we could be the educators, right?
Yeah.
We have
Okay.
the videos and the workshops and talk to people and give them the info they need, the advocates for what the city's doing, and
Okay,
make that connection,
okay,
but that kind of fell flat.
I'm
at the
thinking
time.
if Public Works doesn't have the setup to jump in and start planting these trees, that maybe GOC holds on another year or another season until Public Works can perhaps take it over.
That seems
From there,
a good idea,
with
but I really,
green space being the educational piece. It's
Yeah.
just- They're just afraid that there'll be a lapse if it, all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is the last time GOC's gonna plant trees. There could be a while before he gets revved up again in Public Works to plant trees, so I don't know. Just trying to
feels
say it from a, inside an operation
Yeah.
point of view.
yeah. Okay,
But all systems go this fall that
yeah,
Inner Cities is planning.
how many do
this
you have?
fall.
I think we have 24,
That's good, that's 10 more than last time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's decent.
And as far as I know, Renee has said that she's coming to the workshop next
Yeah.
month or a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, and
Yeah,
it is her intention to, make sure that the crew is doing what they need to do to prep for this planting.
nice, okay. Okay, cool.
All right. We went back to GOC, sorry guys.
Way back up, yeah.
Beep, beep. Okay, then. This is just sort of for informational. Question for next time, which is sort of an item of new business. Do you want me to put an agenda item on here next time for the trees of distinction?
Yeah,
So we can
yeah,
talk about it, hand over materials, cause I don't know that
Yeah.
that's been actually done, or, does that sound good? Okay. So that would be new business for next. So that'll be a line item on the next agenda to make sure Laura is all up to speed on what
Okay.
she needs to do for that. And then hopefully Laura, you and I can talk in the meantime with you about this little ad. Okay. I think that's it for our agenda. The next on the list, if nobody else has any other items, is the council liaison update.
Okay. Let's see, tomorrow at 5:45 here is gonna be the groundbreaking for the new pool.
Right?
Everyone's invited to attend that. I think it will be about 45 minutes long, that ceremony.
It's gonna be so hot.
Is it?
Sorry.
Maybe it'll be under a tree.
Hopefully.
Okay, then, there's a back to school drive for school supplies to benefit, Webster Rock Hill Ministries. There are drop off points here at the Recplex, at the service center, and at City Hall. And those will be delivered on September 7th to the ministries at the, school district picnic on September 7th. So I would say if you have things to donate, take them to the places by September 6th. And then in other related news that you all might be interested in, tomorrow council will be voting to add additional services to the stormwater management plan. I think there's more details to be worked out. They're finding that a lot of homes are affected by stormwater issues. So
Is that just through the survey that they did?
well, it's pretty thorough, it's almost done. And so that's why they need the extra fees is
Okay.
to make recommendations on all the homes they found issues with.
Okay.
And then also Sustainability Commission had formed a subcommittee to do composting, to figure out a citywide composting program. Not knowing exactly what that would be, but at the same time, Earth Day 365 and the Botanical Garden approached the city of Webster to go in on a grant with them, and so we are gonna be the model city. Based on all the incredible green efforts we've been doing, so that grant is being written now, and lots of things to say about it, but I think I will wait till we know whether we got the grant, but it's basically community-wide composting. There's a garden component for North Webster, creating a community garden or expanding the current community garden. And so grant or no, there will be some kind of composting recommendations and program that they will try to come up with. And that's it. Council's been off most of July. We didn't have the meeting 2 weeks ago. So this is what I'm trying to get my sea legs back, speaking the lingo, for our first meeting tomorrow.
Do you know if the new public works director?
I don't have the
Hired or-
status on that. We do have a new hire for the planning department,
Okay.
director of planning. But I don't have an update on public works.
Right. Thank you,
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
It's good to be here.
I appreciate you filling in. Nice to see you here.
Yeah.
City liaison,
Yes.
next.
We had a really nice tour, with, Forest Relief came to Southwest Park to sort of, it's all the volunteers who pot the containers, all the plants up at Forest Relief and have, we've been the recipients of thousands of trees, so they came to Southwest Park, they ate lunch at the pavilion, we did a little tour around Southwest Park so they could see all the different generations of trees that we planted, and they were
Cool.
they're very impressed because some of the trees are 25 feet tall now. And
That's
so
awesome.
that was a nice event. And then I was just gonna give Liz some kudos for Burr Oak. I thought it was fantastic.
It was really great.
Good year.
Yeah, really good. So the only other thing that I have is a request if anyone wants to get a hold of a couple extra volunteers, or if you know any scouts that need some hours or anything, we could really use the concrete garden to be weeded and the garden at City Hall. Which I don't think either one, if you had 3 or 4 people, would take you more than an hour, and that's if you're really babying every little thing. So it just needs a little grooming, some weeds to be pulled. And you can always leave the weeds in a pile and I'll pick them up, or in a bucket or something like that. And then the last thing is, if folks can be thinking about projects for Make a Difference Day, that'll be here before you know it. We'll probably for sure do a trash bash, sort of the same thing that we've always done. People meet at Lorraine Davis and then we break off into groups and go attack the different areas. And then I think the one big Make a Difference Day project that I'd like to do is have a big group of people at Lorraine Davis to just go in and just get all the invasives out that have been popping up and all the vines off the trees, and just sort of get all that red herring corridor tidied up again and give the native plants some more room to grow. So that would be my main focus.
What?
What's the date again this year?
It's usually the third Saturday in October, but
It's not been set yet.
yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, River to Pair Trash Bash is the 26th, and typically
It's the same day.
it's usually the same day.
Yeah,
So
and it's
October
October
26th.
that day. I'll find out for sure.
I know a troop looking for hours, so I'll send an email to my friend Amy and include you. Maybe they're available for
Okay,
the Concrete Garden and City Hall Garden.
okay, fantastic, thank you.
Yvonne, who was it when you said we visited Southwest Park? Who was it?
It's Forest Relief Missouri.
Mhm.
They're the group that they pot up the little trees and grow them for a year, and then they grant them out to the different communities. So it was a group of, I think there was 45 people who came, and they met at Southwest Park. They went on a tour bus and they toured several other communities, not in
Mhm.
Webster Groves,
Mhm.
that have received trees over the years, and then they finished up at Southwest Park. And then took them around the park and showed them all the different
And
trees.
so who hosted? Just you?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
Was Meredith just along on that?
Oh, yeah, Meredith was
She's
there,
the
so
executive
Meredith
Director.
Perkins is the director of Forest Relief, so she
Okay,
was
good.
there
Okay, good.
with her staff. And then all
Yeah.
these volunteers that over the years, and there's several people that live in Webster Groves that volunteer for that group, so. They were
Okay.
very pleasantly, and you know, they got to see the care that we give them because we do water them and prune them and everything else.
Yeah, great, yeah.
It's a good showing.
Yeah, that's good. I read that they were gonna be doing that tour.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so satisfying, you know?
Yeah, and you make that
Mhm.
see that you're making that sort of
I walked
community
them through and I
impact.
said, you're living in you're walking in the shady imagination of the Parks Department. Where, you know, we walk in the shady
Yes.
imagination of someone who planted
Yeah.
a tree 100 years ago.
Yeah.
50 years ago, so.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's nice to be able to walk in the shade this time of year.
Yeah, it sure is. All right,
So I-
okay, all right. And our next meeting is set for September 9th. I think there's a holiday that
Oh, yeah,
causes us to go to the
Labor Day.
next week. And that'll be the meeting before the Green Our City planting date. I am gonna try to touch base with Renee just about the workshop. So I'll keep you in on that. All right, then I guess can I make a motion to adjourn the meeting? I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone?
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, Liz. I hope everyone is feeling well there.
Yeah, actually, I just took my daughter in to find out she has pneumonia, so not really.
All right, well,
Sorry.
feel better.
We will, thank you. Glad I
Talk to
didn't.
you soon. Bye.
Like, there's a lot of